Bringing the passion for the Pacific League, it's PACast, the officially unofficial podcast of the Pacific League English YouTube channel. Hosted by Jimbo Bernicki, Michael Bealey, and Gabe Lerman.
Welcome to the very first podcast. It's our maiden voyage here together, doing our best to try to cover and talk about the wonderful world of Pacific League baseball. I'm joined here today by the illustrious Gabriel Lerman, our voice for the top 20 plays and other assorted highlight videos, and Mr. Michael Bealey, my right-hand man in commentary when we do our live broadcast. How you guys doing today?
If you inflate my ego anymore, I won't be able to fit my head through the door. I'm in good spirits, just watching former Oryx Buffalo and Japan Series champion Masataka Yoshida go 2 for 4 against the Toronto Blue Jays over in the Fens.
Nice.
Isn't that the worst when it's happening against your team?
I'm also my team's also the employer of Yusei Kikuchi, former Saitama Seibu Lion, so it balances.
It's like you want him to go 5 for 5, but you want them all to be singles.
Or, for him to score a bunch of runs, then your team just still wins by one in the
cut the lead down to like 20 runs.
That was a game that happened last year. The Jays won like 31-4, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
31-4, my God. I saw people keep referencing a scoreline like that when we were doing our broadcast. Was there like a Pacific League game?
Okay, no, though. You as a Marine fan should know 33-4. That is etched in history. And now it's time for Gabe Lerman's History Corner. Right. The 2005 Japan Series was between the Hanshin Tigers and the Chiba Marines, managed by Bobby Valentine. The reason why people keep quoting 33-4 at you is because that was the aggregate score for the series.
Wow. Okay. Well, okay.
Lotte swept the games. That is 10-1, 10-0, 10-1, 3-2.
So even that 3-2 is just a real extra, just turning the knife, just like, no, we're gonna not quite.
I might be wrong, but I think that's the year that Hanshin thought their curse was over. Like they had found the statue in the Dotonbori River.
Oh yeah,
and they were like, oh, it's over now, and apparently it wasn't.
I think that was also the year in which the other league realized, oh, wait, we should probably have a playoff series too, because we keep sending our pennant winners and they keep getting curb stomped by the Pacific League.
Pacific League supremacy, I like it.
You always got to go for Pacific League. I mean, that's why we're here, right? We're big fans of the Pacific League. And so going into the season, we had some storylines I think people were following. And me personally, I was really interested in checking out Roki Sasaki versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I should say. And I got my wish. I got to see them pitch against each other on April 14th. And it was a firecracker of a match. It was great to see Sasaki pull off the win, but Yamamoto was no slouch. Though, Yamamoto is going for that third triple crown, and Sasaki is not letting him have it so far. Like, he is just dominating the statistics. Just about every stat that a pitcher can lead, Sasaki is in the lead right now. Unhittable right now.
Incredible to see this kid's development. There's been a lot of talk in the past of Japanese baseball burning out arms all the way back through high school. There's been stories of people playing at the high school tournaments throwing 200 pitches on consecutive days, and then they get to the majors and their ligaments are akin to that of a refried rubber band. Sasaki has been coached and couched a little bit on that. We saw him in fits and spurts in 2020 and 2020, or in 2021 and 2022, just because Lotte did not want to rush him to the majors and wanted to make sure that he was able to build the muscle and the stamina and the endurance before letting him loose. That's why manager Tadahito Iguchi pulled him after 8 perfect innings after throwing the masterpiece 19 strikeout perfecto, because he didn't want to burn out that arm with too much overuse. Maybe 10 years ago, he does go for the 9th inning there, but because of that approach, it's incredible to see what he's been able to pull off. Jimbo, you alluded to this. Roki Sasaki is currently leading the Pacific League in wins, tied with 3. In ERA, 1 exactly. Strikeouts, 38. FIP, 0.63. WHIP,
which is
also 0.63. Opponent average of 0.146. And only 4 walks over those innings. Only Takayuki Kato of the Fighters has fewer.
Yeah, no, he's really going off. And it's interesting though, even when you say in terms of being let loose, he still hasn't really, I would say, being let loose, to use in air quotes. They still keep him on a real strict diet of it's 7 innings, you're out of there. But in those 7 innings, he just like you can't hit him. Like as you just like gave those numbers, like no one's making contact. Like he's just dominating everybody. He only gave up his first earned run in this past game a few games ago by giving up 2 or 3. Just tearing things up right now.
And he's only 21.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see him develop further. I mean, we always wish as Japanese baseball fans that they'd spend their whole careers in Japan. Like God knows what he could do if he just stayed here the whole time. But when he comes to inevitably, if he stays healthy and goes to the majors, it's going to be an absolute treat to see him play.
Sasaki started he started late compared to everybody else. Did Yamamoto start late as well? It seems like they were given additional time after they came back.
Yeah, from the WBC.
And Yamamoto has been not up to like the greatness that we've seen over the last 3 years in his first few starts. There were some commentary early on in the season that he would adjust his pitching motion to accommodate for major league batters. So I'm curious to see if he's going to keep that up and if he finds that groove. He certainly found the groove last Saturday when he picked up the win as the Buffaloes took the middle game of a 3-game set with the Marines. And if I'm not mistaken, they did win that series on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
But just going back to, again, like the incredible pitchers and how they started, Yamamoto only made 5 starts in 2017, 6 starts in 2018. Then in 2019, he became a regular with 20 starts and a 1.95 ERA. Hey, now I got the chance to see Yamamoto pitch live in person when I was doing my All Japan Great Baseball Train Tour back in 2019. I didn't know at the time what he would be now, but sure enough, 7 innings of 1-run work. I could tell he was a good pitcher.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. It speaks to how like quality he is that so far to start the season, he's got a 1.78 ERA, and it feels like he's underachieving. It's like, oh, he's kind of been struggling. He's not quite destroying everyone the way he used to. But like you said, he's sort of getting used to a new pitching motion. I've noticed it's a lot quicker now. Like it's like very lax, very like just kind of throwing it real quick, very easy. And hopefully he keeps. I mean, from a Buffalo's perspective, hopefully he can adjust and get back to his like excellent ways. But I mean, even as I say that, like 1.78 ERA, you literally can't ask for much more than that.
That said, there are other Buffalo's pitchers that they've thrown out there with more exceptional marks. And this is one of the topics I want to bring up. Where do they keep finding these guys? In addition to now 3rd-year pro Hiroya Miyagi, 1-time Pacific League Rookie of the Year, only 21 years old. Now they dredge up Shunpeita Yamashita, who at age 20 has gotten 2 wins in his first 3 starts, only a .52 ERA over 17 and a thirds innings pitched, .865 whip. He's out dueling YY for Pete's sake. And because of his youth, the Buffaloes are shuffling around the rotation a lot. We haven't seen as much of Taisuke Yamaoka yet or Sachiya Yamazaki. We've seen he's made 3 starts, but there's still guys that they have in that well. We knew Oryx was going to be strong in pitching. We knew that Sasaki was going to carry the Marines rotation. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on the Lions at this point in the season, because they have been a shock in the Pacific League in terms of their rotation. That, if anything, that's one of the reasons why they're in the postseason hunt as much as they are.
Yeah, so far early this season, I've been blown away by the Lions, actually. It feels like every time I catch the game of theirs, I'm like super impressed with how well their pitching is going. Imai did like a 1-hit or 2-hit game against the Marines at Saitama Prefectural Stadium the other day. That was like an absolute masterclass. With Nakamura having like a crazy career resurgence here, like they're just going off. And we thought, at least I thought they would struggle to replace Tomiyamori, but Nakamura is definitely picking up the slack. He's like batting like he's a kid again in his 40s, just like having an all-time great season. I mean, really early on still. We'll see if he can keep it up, but to start the season, he's like just gangbusters right now.
I mean, for anyone to have a 1.154 OPS in their age 40 season is a minor miracle.
Yeah, no, and like when we did our broadcast of the game earlier this last week, when he just cranked that home run just nearly out of the stadium, like he's bossing the ball around the field. He looks unstoppable.
Needless to say, the Lions aren't missing Hotaka Yamakawa that much. He's still injured at the moment, but with Nakamura doing that, needless to say, his absence is not felt too much. And then we got to talk about Shuta Tonosaki, their Golden Glove second baseman, who's putting up some
oh my
ridiculous
God.
batting stats
Yeah, no,
right now.
he's doing great too. Yeah, no, they're really picking up the slack in that sense.
Getting back to the pitchers, though, you mentioned Imai. Kona Takahashi already has a complete game this season with a 3-1 record and a 1.5 ERA over 36 innings pitched. Gadzooks. Kaima Taira, the guy who set the Pacific League record for scoreless streak a season or two ago, has been moved into the rotation. He's 2-0 with a 1.89 ERA over 19 innings, still striking out almost 10 guys per nine. That is a unexpected strength of this team. And then you look at Chihiro Sumida, last year's rookie sensation, still getting a slow start. The fact that they could get better is frightening to anyone who wants to compete for the Pacific League pennant. At this point in the season, there's big caveats because you can't win the pennant in April.
No matter how hard you try.
Yeah. The Marines, the Buffaloes, the Hawks, and the Lions are all within a game or two of each other. There's only 3 playoff spots, and I just named 4 teams. Someone is going to be left holding a bag. That's my early storyline, to see who is going to take that leap and go on that winning streak and carve themselves out a chance for a pennant season. It's been a long time for Lotte, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't won the pennant in 40 years, even though they've won the Japan series twice.
Yeah. For a moment, I was like, "What do you mean?" Okay, no, yes, yeah, you're right. They haven't won the pennant. No, that is true. Who is? And there's also something else that surprised me about the Lions. I'm struggling to find his name, but the rookie who's taken over for Genda in his absence, he's been playing really solid. I mean, picking up for one of the best shortstops in the league. To have him not really be that missed in terms of replacing him in terms of having competent defense and batting, it's been a really good surprise, I think, for the Lions so far.
You're thinking of the guy I'm calling the little highlight reel, Ryosuke Kodama. He's only 5'5",
but he plays bigger.
He plays big. Besides, Takeya Nakamura, the man they nicknamed Second Helpings, is person enough for both of them.
That's for sure. And Michael, what have been an early season storyline you've been interested in so far?
Sugimoto with Oryx is I don't really want to know if you should call it a resurgence, but after 2021, where he led the league in home runs, had batted over 300, had an almost 1,000 OPS, he kind of took a step back in 2022, and as of right now, he's leading the league in home runs and looks like he's back to being as he was in 2021. So I've really enjoyed seeing that again.
It's interesting to do the comparison between the 2 seasons, and you have to wonder which is the real Rao here. That's his nickname. Because in 2021, the season he led the league in Pacific League in home runs, his OPS was 931. Last season, he only hit 15, and his OPS was 723. This year, with 8 on the season, so he's already at more than half of last year's total. He's sporting an 894 OPS. What leaps out to me is the slugging percentage is the big difference there. His on base hasn't changed that much, but last year, I don't know if it was just a mush ball or something that he wasn't seeing the pitches right. This year, his slugging percentage is back in line with where it was in 2021.
If you look at 2020, it looked like, there was a start of something there because he batted like 308. That's between both the farm and the top team, but it's like he just started to break out, but he just didn't play enough games. And then he just explodes. So, yeah, I'm really happy to see that he's back to that form. And a lot of the people that I know who are fans and really into analytics, they were like, there's that whole after 30 thing, your career just goes down allegedly.
And that's a risk for Sugimoto because of how late his breakout season was. That's true.
Yeah, but they were like, after 2021 to 2022, they're like, see, it's happening. I told you. And then 2023, at least so far, it's only been, 24, 25 games, whatever it's been. It seems like he's, kind of delaying that a little bit at least.
Well, yeah, Father Time is undefeated. Even if you delay it as long as you can, eventually you will have to stop playing inevitably.
As long as you get more multiple rings in that time span, I think you defeated Father Time.
Hey,
fair play.
They got one. Let's not forget, we're talking about the reigning champions.
That is true. You know what? I actually kind of did forget that for a moment. But no, they have really been kept up their form. Of all the teams this season, when I've been watching them, like I was going through my ups and downs for all the teams. For the Buffaloes, I'm like, I don't really have a down. They're just kind of going off. Like the bullpen's been a bit rough, but other than that, like the batting's been huge. The starting pitching's been great. Their home and away splits are pretty good. Like they're just the most consistent team in the league right now, I would say.
I think you got to take a look at some of the other batters. This is an issue that's plagued the Buffaloes for now years, where they have two big bats and then a whole lot of noodles. Before it was Yoshida and Sugimoto, or T. Okada and Yoshida. This season, it's Sugimoto and newly signed free agent Tomoya Mori. But if you take a look at the people who are getting the bulk of the plate appearances, Yuma Mune's only got a 566 OPS. Tokumasa Chano, yes, he's a rookie, only a 642 OPS. Marvin Gonzalez has not provided the pop that he's been expected. The one who's impressing me right now is Keita Nakagawa, who's playing some plus center field defense and contributing with an on-base percentage of 361. I had my eye on him as a potential breakout candidate, even though I told everyone I thought Ryo Ota was going to be the guy. It's good to see Nakagawa starting to make up that potential.
And so with those storylines out of the way, I think we can move on to some ups and downs for specific teams, get into some kind of nitty-gritty issues with the teams we've been watching so far this season.
The big team, obviously, as a Marines fan, the one I've kind of been focusing on, with their ups and downs, like at home, the Marines are like the best team in baseball. Their bats suddenly figure out how to bat. Their pitching is always good. They just crush it. And then on the road, it's rough, especially with the batting. The pitching has been really consistent this year for the Marines, outside of Mima, who is having a bad time. But other than that, like the bullpen's good, the starting pitching's good. Shogo Nakamura, what is going on with him? Like, holy smokes, he's like... I haven't seen him get a hit all year. I know he's apparently gotten them in games I'm not watching, but whenever I watch, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's brutal. Other than that, the Marines are great. Other than that, almost everything's going great. Even Koki Yamaguchi, who doesn't have a very high batting average, he always seems to come through in the clutch at least. So that's helping a lot. But Nakamura is just a struggle. I find it's very frustrating because he's the captain too. It's just been it's not been a great start to the season for him.
I wonder if a new manager has anything to do with it.
I mean,
he was one of Aguchi's favorites, and reading reports, he brought back the captaincy just for Nakamura after it had been retired.
Maybe. I mean, you never know. You want to talk about someone having a good start to the season, though. Yuki Yanagita. My God. I mean, he's having like a real return to form. It looks like he made a really good decision not to go to the World Baseball Classic and really kicking off with the Hawks to start the season.
Only a 500 OPS. Only a 500 on base. Not
easy
too
peasy.
big.
No, And how many home runs is he at? I saw a pretty good
only
number.
2 home runs, but you don't need the power bat when you're getting on base in front of Kensuke Kondo and Ryoya Kurihara. He's the up I've got for the Hawks. To have him back in the lineup and that flexibility, he can play corner outfields and corner infield. So he's been getting a lot of the time at third base unexpectedly. He's shown up at a couple of top 20 plays, and the power bat is still there. He's, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd or 4th on the team in slugging right now.
For more ups and downs, the Fighters up, the stadium. My God, what a beautiful stadium. The down, everything else, more or less.
There's still some moments I'd like to point out. Kota Yazawa not only got his first pro hit during our midnight matinee, he's also picked up his first pro home run. And this is the next possible Shohei Ohtani as a two-way threat. So getting a chance at age 22 to get in and log some major league innings. We know that manager Tsuyoshi Shinjo enjoys moving players around, giving them opportunities to grow. He understands that this is the assignment, that this is a team that is building. So giving guys chances to learn on the job is what he's trying to do.
And all things considered, like the batting's not going that badly, but the pitching's just been horrendous. Like, my goodness, like just going over the numbers earlier, I was like kind of appalled that they're really not holding up their end of the bargain, as it were.
I thought there was like a real 1-2-3 punch between Ito, Kato, and Uwasawa, and so far none of them have really set the league on fire yet. Ito in particular has been having a rough go. 0-3 with a 5.82 ERA over his 4 starts. Hoping he can turn it around. Maybe there's a bit of a sophomore slump going there, but you also have to keep in mind there's injuries at play. I saw Cody Ponce has been returned to the U.S. for some rehabilitation work on his partially torn quadriceps. and the hope is that he'll be back sometime in June. Ponce, of course, threw the no-hitter for the Fighters last year, so we know he's a valuable part of that rotation.
One thing I just wanted to add on to the Fighters thing though was do we have any like, I know we don't have like a Statcast sort of thing, but do we know like the home run rate of Escon Field at all?
The park factors, you mean?
Yeah,
Let me
'cause,
let me
like,
see if I can find that. I remember correctly, there's a couple of websites out there that have them. I just don't know if they'll have anything for 2023.
because you know at the support dome you pretty much had to hit a bomb to get it over the wall.
The Great Wall of Sapporo, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it,
now,
it does look smaller. It does seem a bit more hitter friendly from
that
just
broadcast, that first
optically.
broadcast we did, there was a home run that was hit, and it seemed like the players kind of didn't expect it because some of the vets, they've had that wall for years, and then it just goes over the fence. Like, just seemed like they kind of weren't expecting that. I'm wondering, like, how's that affecting the pitching?
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, looking at the Fighters' pitching stats, it would definitely explain why things have been rough for them.
All right, I don't have any data for 2023 yet. I'm looking at like npbstats.com. So
Yeah, I think we might have to wait like a solid while to get like a good sample size on the stadium.
Yeah, remember 1 month does not a large enough sample size.
That's true. It's crazy to think it's only a month into the season. It somehow feels both longer and shorter. Like I don't know how it feels like it started last week, but also feels like it's been going on 3 months. I think it's the World Baseball Classic. That's probably
yes,
what. Yeah,
that probably has something to do with it.
God, what a time! That feels like it was a year ago, but like that was so much fun.
I will just say, being in Japan for that, even though I didn't get to attend a game because it was $1,000, and
no, but still, just to be around the energy, my God.
See the train. Gabe knows this. When you're on some of the trains, it tells you, like, it has that TV in there, and it'll play like advertisements, or it'll play like just the map of the
next
subway,
station is
whatever.
Kitagawa or something. Yeah,
you are now on the JR line. They just completely shut that off and replaced it with like the broadcast of the game. No sound on some of the trains. And just seeing that, and then everywhere you go, you see Lars Nootbaar's face somewhere. And now he's got the Newt Bar energy bar I saw the other day.
And the glasses endorsement, like Buddy's gonna be making a bank.
And then like me being in a taxi when they, won the World Baseball Classic, and my taxi driver getting excited and then turning around and apologizing to me.
Oh, that's adorable.
And I was like, man, it's cool. Daijoubu. I was fine with either outcome. It's cool.
So I think the only team we've missed so far with our ups and downs is the Eagles. I know, Michael, you've been kind of watching a couple of their games. Do you have any input there on that?
For ups, I have Yuki Matsui because he's just a giant walking up for the team. He got his, 200th save earlier in the season. He's got 13 Ks in 7 innings. Like, it's just been great.
Yeah, it's just really been lockdown compared to like other.
He said he wanted to get posted. I'm not certain on that. So
he may not need to get posted. I saw on Twitter that he now has his international free agency rights as of this season. So this coming off season, if MLB teams want to sign him, they do not have to pay the posting fee. He's earned 9 years of service time.
That's what happened with Senga, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
And there's a whole other discussion on the posting system that we can get into if we need to.
Yeah, that'll be next week. Tune in for the posting system discussion, which I think will actually be very interesting. I like the posting. I mean, I like to think about the posting system. It's an interesting concept.
And Lord knows that'll be an interesting Gabriel's history corner.
And then downs, their batting's been okay, but they got power coming from Asamara and Franco, but it's just been inconsistent and not as clutch as they probably would like it to.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough go. Like, they're good on the base paths. I've seen they have some good steal numbers, especially coming from Tatsumi and Kubikata. But other than that, yeah, it's been really inconsistent with them. And I feel that's across the board with the team. Like, they've just been a very inconsistent team. It's not quite like the Fighters where it's been bad. Like, let's be real. Like, some of their playing's been bad. Like, the Eagles, you see they have the pieces. It's just they're not getting it all to stick at the right time.
What leaps out to me is some of the veterans on this roster, and this roster is one of the oldest in the Pacific League, just struggling to put together consistent at-bats. Haruki Nishikawa's only got 25 at-bats. Shimauchi, who was batting like 300 or so last season, has seen 100 points shaved off his batting average this year in his age 33 season. They've got Ginjiro Sumitani at age 35 behind the plate, Takiro Kajima at age 33 and right. Some of these guys, they need to start giving way. I know that Rakuten has had a philosophy of keeping their free agents and signing additional ones to bolster the roster, but at some point, the youth movement needs to start showing results. And I think the only one you can point to from that is Tsuyoshi Yamasaki, who's been getting the lion's share of the starts at shortstop and is 372 on base.
Yeah, I was even for a moment I was thinking Yuki Matsui, but he's not young. Like he's getting older too. Like they're really they are starting to rack up the years. And of course, they got Masahiro Tanaka, who is I wouldn't say ancient, but like he's definitely one of the older, like the elder statesmen of the team. Though still playing pretty well, all things considered.
If you have more than like two guys from your last Japan Series championship a decade ago, you need to take a look in the mirror and figure out, is our roster construction an issue?
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. So before we wrap up here today, we will take a question from our very lovely, very, very cool
YouTube community section comments.
I want to go with the one that's got the highest thumbs up.
It reads, "Hey PLTV, first time caller, long time listener. Do you think the Cebu Lions and the Detroit Lions ever meet up for lunch? I'll hang up and listen."
I wouldn't think so, because the Cebu Lions are winners.
I actually screwed that up entirely. There was one much lower with 9 thumbs up, so I'll read that one now.
Oh, okay. Well, I liked my answer to that. But okay,
I think they do get
one?
together because Lions need to hang out together.
Speaking of namesakes, funnily you should mention that, but the Hanshin Tigers and Detroit Tigers back in 1988 actually signed a memorandum of understanding and friendship saying that the two would collaborate on baseball techniques and how important it is to have trans-Pacific partnerships like that.
Wow, that's pretty cool, actually. Huh, I like that.
Wonder what comes of that. Do they have a secret is there like a red like bat phone in each other's offices, and every time they figure something out, they just call each other?
For God's sake, it's 3 in the morning.
But the actual top-rated question, how do I watch games in the US?
Oh, well, that's easy. You sign up for Pacific League TV, which is a fantastic service. Like I honestly, I'm not just saying this because we are the unofficial official partners, but like when I signed up to it last year for the first time, I was just blown away with how good it was as a service. You get to pick all the games, you get all the farm games, and the user interface where you get to pick which camera angle you watch from and stuff like that. It's fantastic, and it's my favorite way to watch baseball of any league, let alone MPB.
I think the farm league games more than make up the cost of it, because you're getting the farm teams for all 12 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
One other consideration is the fact that, unlike our partners at FTF Sports, Pacific League TV does carry interleague games hosted at Pacific League stadiums. So if you want to watch one of the teams in the other league, Pacific League TV is your best way to do so. No blackouts, no VPN nonsense. Just come in and watch.
And it's affordable. Like everything about it's great. And I say this as a Canadian who, if you guys pay $10 for something, I pay like $45.
I think now's a good time for a checkup for the PL's best. What do you guys think?
Go for it.
Masataka Yoshida with the Red Sox. What do you think?
Well, his team just beat the Blue Jays, my favorite MLB team, in a walk-off earlier today. He's been batting, I think I saw this, over his last 7 games, batting .432. I think he's figuring out the majors.
He said he worked with a Red Sox coach and they just managed to put some stuff together. With the Padres, Yu Darvish, what do you guys think?
I have him on my fantasy team. I'm glad I didn't play him in that Mexico City series. The Padres made a big commitment to him and he's rewarded them so far. I do like what I've been seeing from you early this season. Only one big blow up and the strikeouts are still there.
And he still has 35 pitches to his name. Kodai Senga with the Mets and the marketable forkball.
Marketable is right. I've started to see a lot of Ghost Fork merchandise coming around, as well as the occasional Hawks jersey with Senga's name and number on it going overseas on Twitter, and people saying that, hey, look what I got. Again, I think there's going to be an adjustment period because the ball isn't as tacky in the majors as it is in NPB. So that may involve some adjustment on Senga's part, especially since he did not participate in the WBC.
And with a minute left, Shohei Ohtani as the PL's best.
He's still the best.
There it is. Simple as.
Be sure to like and subscribe for more English content. Sign up with Pacific League TV for live game broadcasts, including interleague and farm teams. For viewers in the US or Canada, watch PL games with English commentary on FTF Sports, Tuesday through Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, or without commentary on WatchDingo.com simulcasts under the Baseball Network.
That's right, Gabe. And one more time, I'd like to thank all of our lovely listeners for listening all the way through. Thank you so much for accompanying us on our very first podcast, and next week we'll have an even better show for you. Take care.